Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jeremy from Randolph Running Club, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about a shoe that I think you should really consider, the Saucony Triumph 18, right after this.
Damn, Mizzy Mari got beats.
All right, thank you so much for joining me, making it through that intro. That's the last run that I just took in these shoes. It was an 11-mile long run, about an hour and a half, and I basically worked my way from a really nice, kind of moderate level, easy pace of about 8 minutes, 40 seconds, all the way down to just a little bit slower than my half marathon pace at roughly 7 minutes 40. And yeah, it really just, kind of got the feel for these shoes, remembered what they felt like, and most importantly, took them over 50 miles. So now I'm at 53 miles on these shoes and ready to give you my final thoughts on them. Well, I say final, I'm gonna keep wearing them, but I digress. So yeah, this is Saucony Triumph 18. It's a great shoe. I just recently picked these up because they're on an amazing sale, which might be what actually brought you here to this video. And you might be thinking, is this shoe that kind of came out, in 2020, is it still a good shoe for me in the beginning of 2022? And I'm here to answer those questions for you. So let's get started. Let's talk about the specs of this shoe. First and foremost, the Saucony Triumph 18 is a neutral running shoe coming straight from Saucony. It weighs in at 11.1 ounces or 315 grams in a US men's size 9. The heel drop from the heel to the forefoot is 8 millimeters. We have 32.5 millimeters coming in for the heel stack height and 24.5 millimeters of forefoot stack height. The upper is an engineered mesh with a couple little overlays here for, the Saucony logo and like a heel cup to give you a little bit more support and stability on this shoe. And the midsole is Saucony's Power Run Plus midsole. So not an EVA anymore on this shoe. This is now moving into their Power Run Plus, which I believe is Pebax foam. And last but not least, you have full rubber coverage on the outsole. So if you haven't seen one of these videos on my channel before, I like to kind of break them down into a couple different parts. I talk about 1, the comfort, 2, the versatility of the shoe. So what kind of workouts can it be used for? Is it very something that you can do most of your miles with? I talk about the durability of the shoe and kind of my durability predictions based on the wear that I've seen thus far. And last but not least, I talk about the value because, of course, we care about the price. We care about, is this a good deal? And then last but not least, just final thoughts on the shoe, would I buy it again, etc., etc. So jumping straight into the comfort, I think what's really important to know about the Saucony Triumph is that comfort is the name of the game of this shoe, the whole purpose for this shoe's existence. So, I mean, when you slip this on, when you see it, when you take it out of the box, everything on the shoe is just extremely cushioned. It's supremely soft. The tongue is like this kind of suede, soft material. The collar is just super puffy. It's nice. Very squishy is the term that I would use for it. It's just everything on the shoe is padded. It is built like an absolute tank. And the whole upper just really feels like a cloud on your feet. Like, I think something that's really important here and kind of helps drive this home even further is when you see the laces on this shoe, they're like this thick, soft material. I've never seen laces on a running shoe quite like this. Especially going back to back, let's say one day I'm wearing like my Hoka Rincon 3s, which have these kind of flat, almost racing-like laces. These are those rounded, very soft and well padded laces. So, I mean, everything on the top of your foot, the sides of it, everything that is touching this shoe is just soft and it feels great, which makes for an extremely comfortable shoe, as you would guess. The shoe is, despite all of these overlays and various design details, it's still fairly breathable. I will say that I have done all of my running in this shoe in Northern California, where it is currently pretty chilly. Most of my runs are done in the upper 40s or mid 50s degrees Fahrenheit, that is. So your mileage may vary if you're running in a more humid or, coastal kind of area, just somewhere that's, closer to the equator, maybe, where it's a little bit warmer, or summertime. But with that being said, I haven't had any issues with breathability on the shoe. I'm still getting a little bit of that feel of like the wind and everything coming through. So I'm not too worried about that. But if you live somewhere where you're going to be sweating a ton and maybe these shoes are just going to be logged with water, this might not be the one for you. I will say about the Power Run Plus midsole, I had like a love-hate relationship and then back to love with this. In my mind, the whole reason I picked these shoes up, aside from the price that I'll get into later, was I wanted something that was more of like a high mileage kind of cruiser shoe. So the weight of these didn't really bother me. And when I saw that these had the Power Run Plus midsole, my first thought was, okay, this is something that's going to be really soft, it's going to be well cushioned, and it's also going to give me some pop and a little good amount of energy return, which is what Saucony really bills this as. So I took this out on my first run. I think it was about 6 miles. I was coming off of my California International Marathon race. You can see the link to that one up here in the corner. And, I just really wanted something nice and soft. It was maybe 3 or 4 days after the marathon, so I wasn't really looking to go very fast. And what I found was the shoe kind of felt like a rock, for lack of a better word. I found the midsole to be very stiff and kind of unforgiving. And I kind of felt like Saucony played me. I was like, man, they built this shoe as being so soft and cushioned. And now that I've actually purchased it, I got. The midsole is just not really feeling like what I thought it would be. I actually had kind of like a heel pain while I ran in it after about like 3 or 4 miles, which wasn't pleasant. But I said, you know what? Maybe there's a break-in period. I had read some reviews online where people were saying there was a break-in period for these shoes and that they got a little bit softer. And I'm really glad that I did that, because the shoe kind of just miraculously loosened up. It stayed exactly how I mentioned it, where I was having a little bit of that heel pain for the first 2 runs. And then I believe on my 3rd run, somewhere around 20 miles in this shoe, it just stopped happening. The shoe just felt better. It felt softer. I felt much more in tune with it. I don't know if I changed my gait or something to match the shoe, but I kind of doubt it, because I alternate these with other pairs, of course. I'm running like pretty much every day, like 6 times a week here. So what I found was around 20 miles, the shoe magically kind of broke in, started feeling a lot softer. I started to understand kind of the marketing behind it. And it was just a much better experience all around. And now that I'm over 50 miles, I can assure you that the shoe has actually gotten even a little bit softer, I would say. And it's feeling exactly how I think it was kind of pushed and kicked to consumers, in that it is a very soft shoe. It feels great on tired legs, and you're not, at least for me, I'm not feeling any kind of like knee pain, no issues with like my Achilles or anything like that. Just everything that the shoe touches or protects me from the ground with, it all feels amazing. And I think that these are great shoes just for cruising around, for sure. Which kind of brings me to the next point, right? So let's talk about point number 2, that is the versatility of this shoe. So I think, if you're just looking at the specs and you're only seeing the things that are happening on paper, your first thought would probably be something like, okay, this shoe's pretty heavy. I think it's probably only good for slower efforts, long runs. Think something like a Hoka Bondi or something in that kind of class of shoe. But I find that to be kind of true. This shoe is very good at those kind of runs. As I kind of alluded to before, I've taken this out on many slower runs where I'm really just on like a recovery day. Maybe I'm running 9:30 pace, 10-minute miles, something like that. And the shoe does amazingly with that. Feels great under the foot. But like I said, in this last run that I just took the shoe on, ran 11 miles. I did about 6 miles at my easy pace, and then I cranked it up to like a half marathon effort for the last 5 or so. And what I found was the shoe had a bunch of pop. The energy return was really great, and I found that I was able to maintain that pace with my normal heart rate that I would have, or even a little bit less. I don't know if it's the geometry of the shoe. I don't know if it's the fact that maybe there's some kind of like rocker going on here. I don't think so. At least that's not how Saucony marketed the shoe. So, what point of the story, I think a lot of reviewers can get very caught up on the weight of shoes, and I think that this, as something that you can put the bulk of your mileage in, this shoe feels great. You can still pick up the pace. I've done all kind of runs. I've done fartlek, kind of like interval runs in this shoe. I've done some very short, kind of brief things on the treadmill and everything in between. And I found that it can really handle anything. If you really needed this shoe to be, your only one because you're on a budget or something, I wouldn't really be afraid of the fact that it weighs 11 ounces in a US size 9 for men. I think this is still a shoe that you can take the majority of your runs on and you'll be happy for sure. So yeah, I think, probably if you were going to get this, you're probably going to want something a little lighter for race day maybe. But at the same time, if this is the only shoe that you're running in, it's not going to really matter on race day if you still run in this, right? Because that's what you're accustomed to. But if you just want that extra, kick, that extra little bit of pace maybe on race day or when you're doing your intervals, then maybe you could pair this with a speed shoe for sure. But with that being said, I think this shoe is much more of a everyday trainer than I thought it was. My initial thought was that it was just a recovery shoe, but I think it's versatile enough to do like 80% of your runs easily, if not more. So that brings us into point 3. Let's talk about the durability of the shoe. So as you can see here, just looking at this shoe from Saucony, this is a huge, absolute tank of a shoe. Look at all that rubber on the bottom. I mean, the shoe is just, it's built to last. It is not a dainty shoe. That is the thing there. It's the opposite of something like the Rincons that I reviewed on the channel recently, or the Saucony Convaras, for instance. I find that, the upper is really thick. It inspires a ton of confidence. I don't feel like I am afraid of putting these shoes on and just tearing them up on the asphalt. I'm not afraid to throw them in a bag or something. Like, they just seem very extremely well built and very durable. There's a ton of rubber on the bottom, like I mentioned, so that soft midsole shouldn't have too much breakdown. And I haven't seen anywhere at all on these shoes, aside from the dirt that you would expect from, taking them out. So all pluses there. The only thing that I don't like from a durability perspective, and again, your mileage may vary, but for me, when I pulled this pair straight out of the box, my right side shoe had a little bit of a weird thing, and this is the left one, so won't totally help, but essentially this like Saucony logo here on the shoe, I found that it was like at the very end starting to pull away a little bit from the upper, and I didn't really understand what was going on there. It seemed like just a quality control issue maybe, who knows. But at the end of the day, it's a really small little niggle. And what I found was, I've got 53 miles on the shoe now, and that little defect hasn't gotten any worse. The logo is still there. It's exactly where it was. If I didn't tell you that that happened to my pair out of the box, you wouldn't know that it's there. You wouldn't know to look for it. But because I know, it's in the back of my mind. That was one of those things where I was like, oh man, okay, maybe these are not that well built. But again, just a small observation. Hasn't really bothered me in any way, shape, or form, and the shoe seems to be performing extremely well. So my durability prediction on these shoes, just based on how they're built, how they've treated me so far over the 50 miles, I think you could definitely expect to take these at least 300, 400 miles with minimal issue. These new foams like this that aren't EVA, they don't really break down very quickly. I find that I end up getting bored with shoes and I want to review more or just try new technologies and different brands. So I end up retiring them before they even, really bite the dust. But from my personal experience with these, I wouldn't expect them to last any less than 400 miles. And if you really wanted to, take them to the moon, I wouldn't be surprised if you could probably take these 800, 900, 1,000 miles. They're built so well and there's so much rubber. Yeah. Your mileage may vary. It depends on how much you weigh, your gait, things like that. But I think that these can go the distance for sure. So last but not least, that brings me to point 4. Let's talk about value. So this is why you're here, right? This is what you've been waiting for sure, right? So, this shoe, it was $150 when it came out. And, that's kind of a hefty price. But as we all know, time and depreciation are the friends of this channel and the friends of you. So now you can pick these babies up for about $75 at pretty much any retailer that sells them. I think Saucony themselves are selling them for like $115, but they have like all kind of discounts. I think right now, as of today, January 8th, 2022, they are running a 25% additional discount. So even Saucony has them for under $100 right now. But most retailers, yeah, I would say I've seen them anywhere from $70 to like 85 in pretty much every size. I don't know if they produced too many of these a year ago or whatever happened, but there's a ton of them available and at a really good price. And that's before discounts. That's just me kind of quickly scrolling through Google and seeing all those discounts there. So for me, kind of an analogy that I would use for these, at that price, you're basically getting a Mercedes for the price of like a Hyundai. And, you know, no shade to Hyundai or whatever. I think that they make great cars, but this is just a really premium shoe. You can tell, even though it might be like last year's technology, it's super comfortable, very versatile, feels great on your feet. I have no regrets about buying this. So I think at that price, there's no other brand new shoe that you can buy somewhere, you know, that has this level of energy return, cushioning, durability, etc. Like, I think this has the best of everything that you want outside of like a racing shoe or something for this price. So can't really go wrong. Highly recommend. I would say even if I had other issues with the shoe at that price, it's kind of worth a shot, but it's a no-brainer for 75 bucks. So kind of final thoughts here. I think the shoe's awesome, as you could hear in my glowing review of it. And I think I would definitely buy it again. I would recommend it for you guys to check it out if you're looking for a new daily trainer, or maybe something for your recovery and easy efforts as well to supplement the rest of your running shoe rotation. And, you know, with that being said, definitely drop a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. If you had any experience with this, or maybe you've run in the 19 or even the 20, which I believe is coming out now. They haven't made a ton of drastic changes, so I think this kind of review will also apply to those other models as well. But with that being said, definitely I would love to chat with you down below. If you like this video, feel free to, you know, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, etc. But as always, stay blessed, inspire others, and stay safe out there, y'all. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.